evening, good afternoon, good morning. Regardless of where you are, it's always a great time to study the gospel, enlightened by Spiritism. Today, we're going to review chapter 76 of the book Our Daily Bread, which is titled The Witnesses, and is based on Paul, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Kardec Radio for opening up their platform for conversations just like this one. Kardec Radio is in several social media platforms, including the X platform. And the interesting thing about the X platform is that you can submit your questions and your comments, and the staff from Kardec Radio will get back with you. So before we begin, let's say a prayer. Thank you, Lord, for the understanding that we have about the world, the understanding that our actions have consequences. And it is up to us to choose the best path, to try to do what's right, to impact others positively. We may not be able to control how others act. However, we are always in charge of our attitude. We're always in charge of how we can approach the different circumstances in our lives. Give us strength so we can always try to do what's best. So be it. So again, we're going to be discussing chapter 76 of the book Our Daily Bread. It's based on Paul, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. And it reads like this: Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders. So it's quite of an interesting comment here by Paul, because he's mentioning the witnesses. And so since we're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, of a huge number of witnesses, so let's throw off everything that hinders. Let's get rid of anything that pulls us, that keeps us from advancing spiritually in this case. And we can understand here that we're always in contact with our brothers and sisters. We live in society. So whatever we do, it's always going to be observed by others. So it's important for us to have the right attitude to take the best actions that we can, just because there's always an impact that it's going to have on others. Now, as spiritists, we also understand that we're not just surrounded by incarnate spirits, but also by discarnate spirits as well. So those witnesses are not just here on the flesh, but especially in the spiritual world. Emmanuel explains here that this concept of Paul of Tarsus should be given special consideration by the student of the gospel. So he starts here indicating that it's important for us to ponder about this particular recommendation here from Paul, especially if you're studying the gospel. And why is that? Each human existence is always an important day of struggle, a generous step towards the infinite ascension, and with every position taken, the individual shall always be surrounded by an enormous legion of witnesses. So we see here that our existence, in our stage here, it's always a struggle. Every day we have our struggles, every day we have our tests, our trials, and our tribulations. However, every day is a step towards infinite ascension. Each day is a step towards progress. So wherever we are, we're always surrounded by a normal legion of witnesses, by normal legions of other spirits who can observe us. Again, both incarnate and disincarnate. So yeah, people are always paying attention to what we do. And interestingly enough, we might actually inspire others as we're going through our difficulties. A lot of people might find strength just by observing how well, or at least we try, how hard we're trying to do our best, to do what's right, regardless of the situation we might be in. And Emmanuel again reminds us that we're not only referring to those that form part of our family circle, but also, above all, friends and benefactors of each individual who observe him in the many different angles of life, from the higher spheres of the superior spirituality. So again, it's not just restricted to family members and those that are around us, but also from the spiritual world. And a lot of times, spirits of different levels, and those could be spirits that are ignorant and inferior, like we are, and also spirits that are of a higher echelon as well. All over the world, the disciple is surrounded by large clouds of spiritual witnesses that follow his every step, taking note of his attitudes. Because no one accomplishes the terrestrial experience by chance without solid reasons based on love or justice. So we see here that wherever we are, we're always surrounded by, again, by spirits, both incarnate and discarnate. But of course, the tendency is that we're going to have a whole lot more discarnate spirits just because the population of discarnate spirits is greater than that it is of incarnate ones. And they can see us, they can see our attitudes. I like what Emmanuel is mentioning to us here. Emmanuel is not mentioning our actions, he's focusing on our attitudes, on how we behave, on how we think, on how we face our troubles. And so an attitude goes just beyond what we demonstrate physically, but especially what is in our minds and what's in our hearts. Because no one accomplishes the terrestrial experience by chance without solid reasons based on love or justice. So we see here that we all come to Earth to learn, to progress, to do something for our benefit and for the benefit of others. So that's why for us to experience, for us to make the best out of our experience, then those experiences, they're based on love or justice. So they're based on love that we might have for other ones, also love for different individuals, and also love for ourselves as well, because we need to love ourselves. And of course, or justice. A lot of times we're here, we're going through different experiences because we need to make adjustments with the law. We had infractions in the past in our previous existences, and now we are taking care of those. We're going through experience, so we may rebalance ourselves. We may harmonize ourselves with the universe again. Prior to reincarnation, generous spirits endorsed but the pleadings of the repentant soul. Judges acted upon the corresponding processes. Friends interceded in the service of existence, contributing to the organization of the particulars required of the redeeming struggle. So we see here, as we reincarnate, we're going to have all these spiritual friends around us that they're going to advise us, they're going to plead for us. And we are repentant souls. If we're back here on earth, most likely we are repentant souls. We're here to experience, to learn, and again, to take care of any mistakes that we might have made in the past. So we see here that thanks to these friends who interceded to us, then we have the particulars. They support us, they advise us, and now we are here on earth and under different circumstances. Interestingly enough, those brothers and educators thereby become permanent witnesses of the pupil, so us. During the length of time, the new task is in progress. So again, those spirits who interceded in our behalf, of course, they have a vested interest in our performance. So they're going to be also attentive to how we perform, how we behave here on planet Earth while reincarnated. They speak to him without words in the innermost reaches of his conscience. So to him, meaning in general terms to us, in innermost reaches of our conscience. Fathers and sons, husbands and wives, and brothers and blood relatives of the world are protagonists in the evolutionary drama. The watchful observers generally remain on the other side of the life. So again, fathers and sons, our parents, our spouses, also any other relatives that we have, and any friends that might cross our path, and even, of course, the so-called enemies as well. So they're all protagonists. They're all part of our experience, and they're witnesses as well, because they also observe our struggles. A lot of times they help us. They try to advise us here on earth, and of course, if we have some kind of animosity towards others, those might also try to cause some trouble. But the most important thing is that we also have spiritual friends, watchful observers that are on the spiritual world, taking a look at us, having an interest on us, And they're witnesses to our behavior. They're witnesses to our efforts to evolve and to do what's best. And they're witnesses also to our shortcomings. They're to our failings as well. But it is all understood. It is all part of our. It is understood that it's all a part of our experience. It is all part of our learning. Emmanuel finalizes here, reminding us that we should do as much good as possible towards your associates in the struggle on this day, and do not forget those who accompany you in spirit, truly preoccupied and lovingly. So, first reminder here is that, again, we should do our best. We should really work towards those associates of us, those who are close to us, who are in struggle nowadays, today, on this day, right? So, again, the present is the best time for us. The past is gone. The future is a mystery for us, but the present, this is when we have a chance to make a difference, to help others. But also, let's not forget, besides those other brothers and sisters who are with us here and the material experience, they're sharing the experience here of the flesh. There are also those spirits, those spiritual friends who are also cheering for us. They're trying also to give us inspiration, and they're preoccupied with us because, again, a lot of them have affinity towards us. They have bonds of love with us. And, they're preoccupied with us because they want us to succeed. And also they're lovingly as well because to do those same bonds of affection, of that same connection. And interestingly enough, that is a connection that has been built over several reincarnations. We never know who is on the other side. Probably our previous parents, our previous spouses, our previous brothers, sisters, our previous friends. And a lot of times, even enemies, that spirits that at some point were our enemies, but that due to our development, we're able to make amends with them, and now they're our friends. So the bottom line is we're not by ourselves here, both from an incarnate spirit, from a mature standpoint and a spiritual standpoint. We have friends, and those friends are cheering us. They're cheering for us. They're helping us whenever they can. So, but it's up to us to still do our best, still to act in a righteous manner. That's our conversation for today. I hope you like it. And Kardec Radio, again, is available in several social media platforms. If you like this conversation, make sure that you click the little like button. And if you have not done so, make sure that you select either to follow or to subscribe to the channel, depending on the social media platform that you're watching this from. At this time, let's say a final prayer. Let's thank the Lord for all the teachings that life offers to us, all the experiences that are given to us, because thanks to those experiences, we may evolve, we may learn to become better. A lot of times, most times at our stage, we make mistakes, but it doesn't matter because the mistakes will soon be forgotten. However, the lessons, they stay with us forever. And that's what is part of our evolution, is part of our spiritual growth. The most important thing is never give up, is to always try to do what's right, and to always remember that those spiritual friends of us who are very close to us and who are ready to help us. All we gotta do is ask and to connect with them through the bonds of love. So be it.